my other fucking
Hey, what,
apps.
what do you mean? There's alternative solutions, Lisa? Like, oh, hang on a sec. We're live.
We're
Yeah,
live. I
yeah.
probably
Sorry.
started that with a swear word. And I have
You're good. Just say.
I
You
got to
say.
turn off a bunch of other things that are popping up.
Yeah. Bing, 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 bing,
Yeah, I
bing,
apologize
bing,
if all my things go bing.
Hey, listen. You and I both live in the same world, right? Life where things aren't perfect. We're just here to make progress, right?
Binging, binging, binging.
Binging.
Maybe I can do that. My word.
Can you?
I put on Do Not Disturb for an hour. We'll see how we go.
Ah, that's what I do. Maybe people leave it on.
Technology.
Hello, Lisa.
How are you? How's your Thursday rocking? It's
Yeah,
Thursday,
not bad.
right? It's school holidays. I honestly have no idea what that is. All I want to know is tomorrow the day that they go to school? And anything other than that, I'm not bothered because I have to like make sure that lunchbox things are ready and uniform. So if it's not the day before that has to happen, they all blend into one for a couple of weeks, don't they? Is it just me?
I don't know. Maybe.
Apparently it's Thursday.
Yeah. Well, all I know is I've got to play tennis every day at the moment. That's priority, and I've got to learn more about Yu-Gi-Oh every day. So and I need to slot in a chess game, at least one. So that's one thing I can still win at.
Full calendar.
It is. Oh yeah, and I got to work and stuff too. So that's all good. So how are you, mate? What's going on?
I'm good. I caught up with a beautiful friend of mine for lunch today in Dramana, and the weather was lovely. And so it was nice to do a bit of like real life in person connection. Not that I don't love these conversations with you.
But it's just touching hearts properly, right? Sitting there having a conversation. So, a little disclosure quickly now. We are going to be talking about positive mental health. We're going to be talking about solutions. We're going to talk about possibly reframing the way in which we see things to create different outcomes.
Possibly, I might be getting into some of the language that we use around this and how that impacts the conversations. I think.
Yeah, get out. Well, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to not just to challenge things, to bring about something different, because a lot of things are making progress. A lot of things are staying stagnant, and we're just here to challenge that. But one of the big things I want to encourage people is, while we're actually live, feel free to ask us anything. Like literally, like we're here to communicate as much as we are to project. So, but I just want to start with, I had I'm very grateful today. I'm doing a course to learn more and understand. It's the mental health first aid course, and it's interesting because you and I have very similar values, and the mental health space for us is one that it's a big wheel, and we like to see things that are a bit different. We like to challenge the norm to create different results, because we both believe that where focus goes, energy follows. So that being said, it's been really interesting to sit in the course. I have no judgment about it at the moment because I'm only halfway through. So far, it's been good. I think it's been more of an awareness of self, which is something that you and I talk about a lot. Just to better understand yourself before you project anything, which has actually been wonderful. So let's jump over to you for a sec, Lisa, because positivity inside mental health. What are your thoughts?
And even, dare I say, having a sense of humor inside mental health. Oh my God.
Yes.
Look, too much information warning. All right. Consider yourself warned.
Straight off the cuff.
I am a neurodiverse oversharer. My mother will tell you, from the very moment that I was born breech, I've been disrupting shit, right? I've been doing things the hard way. I've been making people's life difficult since I greeted the world backwards. And that's essentially how I kind of approached life, for the last 43 years. So positivity and mental health, positivity and humor. I'm a firm advocate that as someone who's done a lot of training and a lot of trainer training and a lot of learning about how people learn and how we like to receive information, I strongly believe that we both human beings receive and retain information better when we're enjoying learning it, when we're having a good time when we're learning, when we're in a up state, when we're learning it, right? When we're having fun, we take in more, and then down the line, if you ask someone something that they learned in that environment, they're going to be able to retain it and tell you about it more efficiently if they enjoyed that learning process. If it was if it was fun, if they felt invigorated and inspired, right? That's that learning environment that people take in more. So I challenge the idea that when we're discussing serious topics, we're having serious conversations, and I'm talking life and death, that we have to then be in a down-regulated state. We're very serious because we're having serious conversations about serious topics, and we must treat them seriously. Knowing what I know about how people learn and how they receive and retain information, there is a juxtaposition in that, because the serious conversations about the serious topics is the stuff that I think is really important, that people receive the information and retain the information. Therefore, right, this is the bowl of spaghetti inside my brain. Therefore, it's more effective and more useful to have the conversations about serious topics in an environment that's not making light of the content, but has an energy around it, an environment that is energizing, that is uplifting, that is fun. To have somebody relate that information to you that's happy to pull a face or make fun of themselves or do a silly dance at the front of the room. Because I've taught first aid, regular first aid for my cat's on the bench. I'm gonna throw something at him. For like 3 years, and we got feedback forms that were like, this is the most engaging presentation of first. I had to do first aid for my job every 12 months and it's so boring. But Lisa was so engaging because I wasn't afraid to be a bit ridiculous at the front of the room. And they remembered the joke that I said about the thing that we were learning. They'll remember the joke, so they'll remember the learning, right? Because it made them laugh. She told this weird joke about, people passed out on the ground or whatever, right? I used to joke that putting people into the recovery position is how some of us sleep now because of bad decisions we made in our 20s. We now sleep in the recovery position to protect our airway, right? But people are going to remember that, and they're going to remember, put them on their side, right? Because you sleep on your side when you've had too much to drink, right? So by injecting humor, injecting positivity into serious conversations. This is how to keep someone's airway clear when they're unconscious. You put them on the side. The content itself is serious, but the delivery method doesn't necessarily have to be heavy, if that makes sense. And so I've translated that into the conversations that I have around mental health. It's still life and death, sometimes. And I think it's still not only possible, but important to do it in a way that makes it easy for the audience or the participants to receive and retain the useful information. So that's my answer to thoughts about positivity in the mental health space.
Yeah, and I love that, right? Because we're doing the Smiles for Life dinners in Frankston, and I don't like to call them mental health nights. I like to call them connection pieces. I like to just bring people together to have conversation, guided conversation, right? And it's conversation that invokes further conversation through understanding, which I just love. But I do the same thing every time. Right? We start with this, right? I give everybody a pen and a paper, right? And I do this. Please draw for me a smiley. Oh, lights are no good.
Yeah.
Right.
There
So
you go.
smiley, right? And then I ask everybody to write down the reason. What's the reason you smiled today? You know, and we share that. And go around the room. We quickly, what made you smile today? What made you smile today? Brilliant. What made you smile this week? Get back in. And then we share that. And by the time we've done that, it's so wonderful hearing what makes other people smile. And it might simply be a cuddle with a cat. Do you know what I mean? It could be that too. I had this awesome cup of coffee today. Best one I've ever had. Awesome. But it's the vibration and that positive nature that allows us to be more connected to each other, because we're not pushing away from one another with heavy stories all the time. We're not telling people they're doing wrong. Like it's one of the things for me that I'm so passionate about. Like people genuinely try and do their best. Sometimes they don't have the tools to do the things they need to do, right? So they need another set of eyes seeing what they don't see, so they can be supported through that. And I love it. I love keeping things positive, because like even yesterday, right? Big days at the moment, got a lot going on. And yesterday I was at B&I in Hawthorne, and I recently joined the Hawthorne chapter. A great bunch of guys and women. And I was having a bit of a yarn with the guys, telling them a little bit about what we do. And anyway, we finished up with coffee, gone outside and walking down. There's two young girls, I say young, probably 20, walking towards me. And one of them smiled at me. And I've gone, that's awesome. She's gone, what? I said, you smiled at me. I said, just hang on a sec. In my backpack, 2 pairs of socks. So I just want to thank you for doing your best right now. Right? And I just shared that, and I just shared the story. And they're both hitting straight in the heart. The guy I was with, Campbell, beautiful guy, he goes, that was wonderful. I said, okay, let's have a look at that scenario, right? How was their day started? They were probably walking along talking about something. Some random dude has gifted them a smile, gifted them a pair of socks that are super comfortable with a smile. What's their energy going to be like for the rest of the day? What are they going to be projecting for the rest of the day? Joy. Every person they interact with, it shares more. It shares more. And I think that's something that we're so, and this is not, I don't have a right or wrong scenario. I have a choice scenario. You can choose how you want to project to the world. Right? But we're so focused on life because there's so many things we can achieve. And it's so complex these days. But we forget what we have achieved. We forget that we've got all these little beautiful moments in our last, today, yesterday, last week, last month, last year, that got you to the now, right? Just little moments. And if we remember them all and click them all in together and we share those moments, it's beautiful. We grow together, and then we grow through positivity. We go through hearing each other's positive stories. Like I dream of a world in which, we have these wonderful conversations and get-togethers where, oh my God, it's just positive. Like it's such a positive experience.
That's my world, Scott. That's the world I predominantly live in, because those are the people that I talk to, and they're the conversations we have. I am aware of, but I don't live in a world where the majority of conversations are complaining and bitching and moaning and whinging, and what I don't. That's not my world. I have cultivated very carefully the space in which I spend time. I love talking to you because you say you tell one story and my brain's like bing, 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 bing. You set up all these little fireworks in my brain whenever I'm like, oh yeah, that's that related to this and related. So I'm sitting here and I'm like clasping my hands to like, just let's go finish, because I'm like, oh, I gotta think. So it's good. I love it because you set up all these little brain fireworks in my head. I want to acknowledge that we have, as human beings, we have a negativity bias, right? We have a negativity bias that is deeply in our DNA, right? We are programmed from, cavemen and saber-toothed tigers to amplify negativity and dismiss positivity, right? It is part of our makeup as humans because we're designed to look for danger. We're designed to assess risk constantly, like at a really primal base level I'm talking about, right? So I understand sometimes that feels like the easy path, right? It feels like the easy path to amplify the negativity in your life. We also, I don't know if we discussed this last time, but we have a part of our brain that basically you set the program for what you want it to look for and it will find it for you, right? And if you kind of don't program it for anything in particular, it will abuse that negativity bias, right? Because that's its sort of base operating system, if you like. So it'll revert to that unless you redirect it and reprogram it. So it is in our nature to some extent to be a little negative because it's related to assessing for danger and wanting to be safe and all these really primal drivers. But that part of our brain hasn't realized that we're in 2023. And it also can't work out that there's no physiological difference between there's an animal chasing me that's possibly going to rip my head off and eat me versus I've had a challenging day at work, right? That part of our brain can't tell the difference. It's all crisis. And so I think it's important to understand the equipment we're working with, right?
Yeah.
I think that's important. So it's not a deficiency, or you're not defective, or it's not that you're not working hard enough at being positive. If you notice that you're slipping back into those thought patterns, and we could have a whole conversation about childhood programming and all that sort of gear, right? The effects of trauma and blah blah, ACEs scores, that all contributes as well. But even without all of that, it's okay. Like, I think I don't want people to feel like not being positive enough is another thing they can sort of whip themselves with, Oh, it's another thing I'm not very good at. I'm not very good at being positive, therefore I'm going to, blame myself for that too, or I'm going to, and, they use it as another reason to beat themselves up. So understanding it's actually your natural, pathway is to be a little negative slanted in your outlook. We're programmed that way, and it's okay if that happens. The opportunity for growth, the opportunity for expansion, the opportunity for activating change is recognizing that and steering it back the way you want it to go, right? Is making a positive choice about, okay, so I've done that. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. Cool. And I'm going to actively choose a different focus, right? Without a whole lot of guilt and shame and other junk getting in the way, right? That was one of the pings that happened in my brain. I don't even remember what you said, but
no, but I love it, right? Because that's like, I am a very, very positive guy. I work at it. I still have negative self-talk. I still have, like both of us, right? Like we're
my undies are on the inside, right? No one here is superhuman. We're not superheroes. We're not, like we're people.
Yeah.
And sometimes we people.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful part of being human, right? Is the ability to be able to go through something and go, no, that didn't work. I got that really wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do I need to learn? Like I've got to, for me, I'm going to share my process. You know, like it's, I have a situation, right? I look for the pain point and then find the lessons. And then I create an opportunity. And the opportunity is to grow beyond that situation that just happened. You know, like I love it with the rock star, you know, like when something goes a bit sideways, we step into it. We don't avoid it. We step straight into it. Okay. What were the consequences of that action? What was the outcomes of that action? Okay. What would be a better outcome? This would be a better outcome. Okay, cool. So what do we need to learn about the situation that just was so that we can improve that to try and get towards this outcome? Because practice makes progress. We're not after perfection. We're just after, you know, okay, we understand that this happened, so I can do this better next time. Well, what do you think the opportunity is going to be there? Well, then that would create this. So we end up with even more creative opportunities because we've processed it, you know. And then I've never met anybody who makes a decision to make the wrong decision. Whatever decision they make in the moment is because they think it's the right decision in that moment.
Yeah.
And for whatever reasons that thought is there, that's actually for me the part we've got to get into. Okay, look, you thought that was the right decision for that. Well, what are the circumstances surrounding that decision? Okay, what was the outcome of the decision? Then all of a sudden, if we break that down, we've got a better understanding of how to move forward. And I think for me, inside all of the work I do in my personal work and the coaching side of things, that's very much what it's about. It's just getting a better understanding so we can grow from that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your thoughts around that?
And in context and in time and place, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes something will happen and immediately after is not the time for the analysis, right? There is a refractory period between the event and then there's this, you know, energetic blowout of like, oh shit, now we're going to do, well, I said this, I'm trying not to swear. And that happens, and then and then just so you know, I'm usually, people don't know me, I sound like a pirate, so this is really, I've toned it down.
You're doing an amazing job of keeping it contained.
It's normally really filthy. So there's this period of you know, reacting and responding to what's happened, and then I think the time for that analysis and pulling it apart and looking at it and examining it is super valuable when the time is right. So I run, to give sort of context about the way that I live that, is I run an 80-20 rule for most of my life. So 80% of the time I'm like, you know, I've done heaps of personal development, I've done parenting courses, I've done you know, lots of trainings and all that sort of gear, and I'm super enlightened and yada yada, whatever, right? I have all these tools at my disposal and resources, and I'm, you know, my best self. And then 20% of the time I'm hiding under the doona with my head underneath, crying, or on the shower floor just going, oh, it's too hard, you know, and I human. And that's okay. Because I think to set the bar for ourselves, and I have a lot of conversations with people that are entering their own personal growth period. They recognize that things are not how they want them to be, and they set goals. You know, well, I want to be waking up every morning and going for a 5K run, and I want to do this, and I want to do, and it's like, whoa, and there's this huge gap between their current reality and their expectations of themselves. And then they're like, well, you know, if I'm not doing, you know, I'm only eating green vegetables and I drink a juice every morning and I do this and I do that and I only think positive thoughts and whatever. And of course, because it's completely unrealistic, they fail. And then they go, oh, see, I can't do it. And so the 80-20 rule and then they beat themselves up, for longer. The 80-20 rule for my food, for my activity levels, for my choices, for how I deal with people, for my own emotional regulation, like across the board, it's that human wiggle room to go, you know what? Some days is not an 80% day. And I will just jot it down and be like, you know what? Today's a 20% day. So I visit that space, that space. But I don't make camp and I don't move in and I don't live there. I visit and I go, okay, cool. Today's an 80. I might have 20% days running, and then I'm like, all right, I gotta shift my body, or I've got to listen to an activation. I've got to do something to pull myself back to my 80% self. But to set yourself goals of, I want to be, like this all the time, like it's unrealistic. It's not achievable. I've been saying, the Dalai Lama walks around in sandals all the time. When he, your finder toe, the one at the end, the little baby one, that's your finder toe that finds the furniture, like, the coffee table, and you're like, I found it, right? It's your finder toe. When the Dalai Lama in his sandals finds the edge of the couch, he is not the Dalai Lama in that moment, right? He is a man that thinks he might have broken his baby toe, right? Like, that's a 20% moment. No guru, no one is perfect 100% of the time.
I want to grab that for a second though, like, because like you look at the Dalai Lama, very Zen, very, like, but here's the thing, right? He wasn't born like that. He's had to learn to get to that point yourself, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and get into where you are. Same, hundreds of thousands of dollars of personal development continually in order to get to where I'm going. And that for me is something that it's an investment in self, isn't it? Like it's, and I'm not just talking financial. Right? Yeah,
like
but it's
done.
No, 100%. Like, geez, I don't think we're even close to where we're going to be ending up. And it's that continual evolution of trying to grow and trying to find more. And it's really just a self journey. Like I just, like for me, I'm very consistent in my, as you were saying, with, you've got this big gap of where you want to be. And what's one thing you can do today to get closer? Just one thing, right? If you do one thing every day to get closer to where you want to be, 1 year's time, you're 365 things closer. And it can simply be just drink 2 liters of water today. That's it. Guess what? You've done something for tomorrow.
Even more than that, more empowering than that is that, neurochemically, every time you achieve a baby goal, right, an achievable goal, you are reinforcing all the positive neurochemicals. You are proving yourself, what I call, you're creating evidence of success, right? So you get more and more proof that you can do it, that you can change, that you can make those choices. And so when you do it like this, instead of like this, I didn't do it, it actually gets easier because you're reinforcing neurologically parts of your brain that go, we can do this. We did something harder yesterday. I can do this today, right? And so it's all the more important because of that as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm gonna launch it on Saturday, right? Which is really cool. A safe place to land, right? So I've been doing it for the builders for about 15 months, and it's been epic. Like, it's just, so I'm actually taking it into our community. I'm going to support the men. I'm going to be bringing it, like, I'm going to be advertising everywhere. However, I'm going to be bringing it to Frankston first for my community, because because of everything that's going on and what I've learned since Christmas with the Smiles for Life dinners, just the necessity for a positive outlook. But our first 6-week block of training, which we'll be starting, will be 6 weeks of one thing.
Yeah.
That's it. 6 weeks of one thing. You just do one thing a day. And it can simply be read one sentence of a book. Right? Just one thing a day. 6 weeks. Create some positivity that people are achieving, because we are,
Yeah.
And I know that, like, here we are, and it's funny. The topic I put up for today is positive mental health, right? Is that positive mental health? But it's so true, like we just keep focusing on the positives.
Imagine if we use, so this is me picking on the language, right?
Yep.
Mental health,
Yep.
right, has been, I don't know, I'm going to make up a word, right? Negativized, right?
Go again. What was it?
Negativized. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna.
Mental health has been turned into a negative, right?
Yes, it has.
Imagine if, like, he's got to take some time off for mental health, right? Use it in a sentence, right? He's got to take some time off work for mental health. Imagine if we said, if we translated that to like heart health, right? Imagine if heart health or physical health we talked about, and that was a negative thing. That doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah. Health is a good thing, right? Health by nature is good. So heart health is, we want people to have good heart health, right? We want them to be heart healthy. We want them to be. So there is this weird thing that has happened over the last 10 years where mental health, no, hang on a minute. Mental health is a good thing because it's health, right? Mental ill health, that's a problem. Mental health challenges, that could be an issue, right? But using mental health with a negative connotation is another obstacle. It's another barrier. It's another hurdle. Right. Thank you, Beryl. Yeah, beautifully. Mental wellness. I talk about mental well-being, right? Mental wellness, mental well-being, right? But really, we shouldn't have to like reclaim mental health, because that's actually what it means. But it's been utilized. It's been sort of twisted. The language has been twisted that we talk about mental health when we're actually speaking about mental ill health.
Yes.
Right? What we're talking about is mental ill health, right? If I was mentally healthy, that would not be a bad thing, right? So I think part of, as an NLP practitioner, NLP master practitioner and trainer, I'm a real fusspot about language and the sort of unconscious obstacles that language can create. And I think simply by having conversations like Beryl suggested about mental wellness, mental well-being, imagine how different does that feel to mental health. We better have one of those serious conversations about mental health, right? And we have to have it in this tone of voice because it's serious. So if we just start shifting the way we speak about these issues, that in itself creates a shift.
I agree. Like, I'm smiling really heavily, right? Because I'm just there. I'm just sitting here thinking about things, and right now I'm back into training. I've got my run Sydney to Melbourne October 4th. I want to get this done, right? Like and it's just me. Like it's
I don't run unless someone's chasing me with a knife. So I admire you.
Oh, look, it's really important to me because I like to achieve things that are beyond my capabilities, because it helps me be stronger, right? And lucky or unlucky, I've had a lot of different challenges that have gifted me more credits in my mental bank. So I've got to raise the bar every time so that I can just challenge myself a little bit further, give myself more strength. It's just the way I operate, and I love it. But right now I'm rebuilding my physical health, right? My physical health, and it's such a positive, right? I'm looking, and when we do speak about mental health, like I'm having a mental health day, it's like, oh, really? Are you okay? What's going on?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? So, mental wellness, like mentally healthy, like I just love that. So let's really work on, and I'm happy for comments. I'm happy, and I love that mental wellness, right? What kind of day are we going to have, Lisa? We're going to have, what are we going to have? Like you and I, we're going to discover it now. We're going to pull out a word that's going to be a mental health day. What is it? It's our positive mental health day. It's our, what do you think?
I think it depends on the intention. So if you are at capacity and you're approaching burnout and you're wanting to avoid that, and you've recognized that in yourself, which if that's you, well done you, and you recognize you need to take a step, you need to step away, whether it's from work or the kids or family, whatever it is, and you just, or your business, or I don't know, and you just need to, I'm going to step away and take a day for myself. I'm going to walk on the beach. I'm going to go do the things that make whatever it is that refills you. I think it's reasonable for that to be like a mental self-care day. Somebody wrote in a comment on one of my posts the other day. She was talking about how people will treat themselves physically, right? You treat yourself. You go to a spa, you get a massage, go for a bit of a float, right? Or get your nails done, right? Or whatever it is. I don't know what men do for those things, but do you go? I don't know, but
we'll give you some suggestions in a second.
Yeah. So, but we do those things as like, it's got the aura of an indulgence, right? Like, ooh, it's a special thing. And how people like to do that, they will like to treat themselves, as opposed to waiting until they're, hunched over and they can't walk and they're like, oh, now I need to get a massage, right? Because now I have a problem, right? They'll do a massage or something preemptively in an indulgent spirit, in a treat myself spirit, because I'm worth it and I deserve it and I'm going to go do something nice for myself. And I asked her, so you're saying I need to open a mental spa where you can come and get, you can treat yourself mentally and do things that are going to make you feel better before you're a hunched over mess because everything hurts mentally, right? If you follow the metaphor. So this idea, and that's part of this proactive conversation that we've been having lately, and that I've been having, on and off social media, is this idea of like, okay, so what if there's stuff you can do before you've got to go see the chiro because everything's, misplaced? What if you can do stuff beforehand in that spirit of, I'm worth it. I'm going to do this for myself so that I then don't have to, hunched over cripple my way to the massage therapist because my shoulder, I can't lift my shoulder up properly. Like, that's not the time to go see the physio. You do that beforehand, So how can we map that over into that mental well-being or mental wellness space, rather than waiting until we're the mental equivalent of a hunched over, crippled, everything hurts mess? Which did not at all answer your question.
No, I'm the same ilk, right? Like, I'm not here to provide service at the end of the river. I want to fix the bridge to stop people falling in rather than picking up people at the end of the river, because it's, prevention rather than cure. So what does that look like? And here's something for me that I think is amazing, right? I don't think anything's wrong. That sounds crazy. But I think we've just got to a point in time where we're starting to understand things better so we can start to look for better solutions, right? So we're starting to understand mental health. Unfortunately, with the projection of it, it's just taken on a negative connotation. So if someone's having a mental health day, or there must be something really wrong with them, instead of saying, listen, I'm just going to take a self-care day. I'm just going to take a wellness day because, do you know what? I want to make sure that I'm fit and strong so I can get things done. Like Trademark, I wear their shirts. They're going to a 4-day week now, right?
Yeah.
4-day week so that they can get the things done they want to get done in life. And I think that's awesome, right? They're leading by example. They're not talking about it, they're doing it, which is something that I'm
walking the talk.
100%, and that's like, so, we're talking about men, how to take self-care for men. Like, it was really interesting today at the mental health first aid course. Maybe I may tell a few bits and pieces, getting a few smiles up and running. And the coach today, or the trainer, he's got homework for you. And I just stared at him. I gave him my best. Don't you dare give me homework. Joking, right? But he goes, I just want you to do one thing for yourself you haven't done before we get to training. And I've had many baths before. I was just like, I've been hanging out for a bath with salts in it for the legs. And so tonight, I went and lit a candle, put some tunes on, and had a 25-minute bath before I come on, just to do something different for myself. Why not? Try something new, right? So I've tried something new. I've ticked the box off. For blokes who are looking for self-care, try something new. Go and do yoga. Go and do yoga. Go and do qigong. Go and try Reiki. Go and try sound healing.
Go rock climbing. Go kayak.
Go rock climbing.
It doesn't matter what. Here's a tip. Spoilers. It doesn't matter what the activity is, right? The activity is the vehicle to the mental state that you acquire when you're doing it. So, I've been training this at the police academy for the last 3 years. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care what the thing is that you do, whatever it is, anything that allows you, so how do you know that it's really, it's valuable? How do you know that it's the thing that helps? One key way that you can know that it is really a self-care activity is something you lose time in, right? An activity that you lose time. So it might be drawing or reading or a sporting activity or moving your body or a bath, whatever, where you lose time. You're like, oh, God, I can't believe I've been doing that for an hour, right? Or and you lose track of time. That's a key indicator that it's a true self-care activity when you can lose yourself in it. So for some people, being very physical is their thing. Personally, I freaking hate having a bath, right? I hate having a bath. And when I had PTSD and anxiety and depression, everyone was like, treat yourself to a bath. I was like, oh God, no, right? Like, that's not my version of self-care. And all power to you if it is. Light a candle, sure, go for it. But there's no rules around. It's what works for you. And you've got to taste it, right? You've got to get the plate out, a bit of broccoli, a bit of Brussels sprouts, a bit of mushroom, and just be like, well, I'm just going to taste them all and see what works for me. And some of it, you're going to, that's not good, right? Try it on. Like you said, go to a yoga class, give it a shot. If it's not for you, it's all right. Try something else, because there's no rules about what constitutes self-care, right? Despite what a Facebook meme tells you, it could be anything.
Yeah, I want to share, because so I've really struggled having a bath. I really struggled. Like I couldn't, my mind wouldn't stay at ease. I put the salts in there to try and relax the muscles, because trying to get everything back. So I'm training at the moment. Self-care for me is going and smashing myself at a F45 session. That's my real self-care. I love it. I'm in the zone. I don't care about time. I'm just in there going for it,
Yeah, perfect.
and it's awesome. But I just tried it. I just tried it. It did something for me that I didn't know whether or not I'd enjoy it or not. I couldn't get comfortable. But I tried it, right? Next thing's next. Yeah. So and it's
but you've ticked it off the list. Like
100%.
every no is getting closer to the things that are yeses.
And I love that, right? Because it's I always say, right, try everything once and try it again just to make sure you don't like it. Right?
Yeah. Agreed.
Because your first time could be anything, and the second time, well, you don't like it, right? But just have a crack. It doesn't like there's a gentleman, Jeremy McVean, and he's somebody I rate really highly simply for this one thing he said that I adore. Have a crack. And I think that's the thing. Like, just having a crack, it makes such a difference to everything. You don't like it, but you tried it. Do you know how much? I can't quite get the right word, whether it's grit or like I love getting up here and talking. I get things really wrong. I just don't care. Right, I'll lose the screen on here, and things go sideways, and I just don't care because I know that my intention is to do my best. Right, my intention is to try something. And I know that I make progress every single time I try something. Now, if I'm making progress every time I try something, I'm getting closer to the things where I'm meant to be. There's
some key principles that I'm hearing coming through. And like this always happens when you and I have a conversation, right? We speak the same language and we use different words, right? But we're always on the same page. What I'm hearing is, as we've said multiple times, practice makes progress, not perfection. What I'm also hearing is, before I have a mental blank, I'll try and get it in, is there is no failure, only feedback, right?
Yeah.
So if you hold those two principles to be true, that all attempts at things is about progress, and there's no such thing as failure. You can't actually fail because you just get feedback so you can have another shot at it. Then it smashes the binary paradigm of right and wrong, success and failure, right? It's just garbage, right? It's just BS, right? When I say BS, I always mean belief system. Oh, I've got a friend. Out to the world. This is Pumpkin.
Hello, Pumpkin.
She helps me. She saved my life multiple times, actually. When I was in some bad places, and she jumped out and catted at me. And animals are amazing. Holding those principles shifts the way that you then take risks, attempt things, are open to making so-called mistakes, right? Because they're actually not, right? And I think what I love about when we have these conversations is we've come to such similar points through vastly different journeys, and we've both reached elements or times in our life now where there is so much overlap in the way that we perceive, in the way that we choose to engage with the world, in all that. And we use different language because we've come at it from different areas. We've had different mentors and different teachers and read different books and probably a lot of the same books. But there's such commonality, and that is an indicator to me that we're kind of approaching some form of, for lack of a better term, truth, right? Or the way, to get a bit esoteric about it, right? The fact that vastly different. And I've had lots of conversations with lots of different people that we reach very similar points of view. I'm like, okay, well, the fact that we all kind of seem to meet at this junction point, there's something to that, right?
Yeah. And I think this is something that I'm loving about life at this point in time, is the fact that I feel I'm becoming more human. I think I'm embracing the human experience by learning and growing and I think you meet people where you're at. I think that people come into your life at the right time to grow together if you're open to that. And the 1+1 = 3 mentality, which you mean you've heard Shorty and I talk about, is we talk about it all the time. Every single thing I do needs to be 1+1 = 3. If it doesn't improve us, if we don't grow together, then I'm not really interested. And it's not being rude. It's just that I know our garden can grow so much better when we cross pollinate, and we can grow this much bigger garden. And like I adore it. Now, we're coming on 50 minutes again.
I assumed, sorry if you jumped on here and you thought this was going to be a half-hour chat, because I just put it in my calendar. I was like, well, it's clearly going to be an hour.
100%. Every time we talk, it's we enjoy this. We enjoy the dance of life. We enjoy the dance of self-improvement. We enjoy the dance of challenging the norm. We enjoy creating new opportunities, like just today, negativized is a new word that I'll be using in my vocabulary. It's just out there now, so that's the way it's going.
I think what's valuable in this is that sometimes, like, you may have people in your orbit that have heard you speak a lot of times, numerous occasions, and so it doesn't always quite land. And I think the value in talking to each other is that there are going to be people that watch this that go, oh, do you know what? I have heard people say that concept heaps of times, but it was the way Scott said it, Lisa, that dropped for me. Or Lisa, it was the way you said it that dropped for me. And I think having these conversations and being able to examine what we're talking about, the topics we're talking about from all different kinds of angles, which is what more people bring, right? Two heads better than one, 6 heads better than 2, right? Is that we bounce off each other in a way that allows for people viewing either live or later on to potentially hear something they've heard before, but looking at it from a different perspective, or hearing it from a different angle, or hearing different language utilized around it. And that's the thing that is that penny drop, that aha moment that they're like, now I understand, right? I've heard about, Scott says 300 times a day, thank you for doing your best. Lisa's wording around that is, I assume that everybody is always doing the best they can at any given moment with the resources they have, both internal and external, at any one time. Sometimes our best is here, sometimes our best is here, but it's always you're doing your best. And so my presumption of people, when I get cut off in traffic, when someone doesn't hold the door open for me, whatever, I presume, you know what? That's their best today. Do I love it? I don't adore it, but I assume they're doing their best, right? And that is so similar to your philosophy, thanking people for doing their best, right? So that's why I think, I'm happy to jump on here at 8:00 and chat with you for clearly an hour a couple of times, is because I trust that someone is going to see something or hear something, and that's going to be the 75th time that they've heard it, but that's the one that lands and it's worthwhile, and it changes their trajectory, or it puts them on a different path, or helps them make a decision, or whatever it is, right? And I trust that. So as much as I feel like we often are in such strong agreement with one another, it's not really controversial because we're on the same page about many things, but just through the utilization of different perspectives and different languaging might be the thing that helps somebody. So I think I'm grateful that you can't believe you asked me back for a second one, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to hopefully have a positive ripple. You were talking about that before, right? We all create we all create ripples in the world, whether you know you're doing it or not, you are. Yeah. So by doing it consciously and making decisions about the ripples you're putting out in the world, that is the blessing of influence that we have on other people. I've only got control of myself. Listen to the words. I've got control only of myself. 3 things in life we have control over, right? My words, my thoughts, my actions. That's it. That's all the 3 things I can control in the world. And I can't control those in anybody else. My words, my thoughts, my actions, that's it. However, I can influence many other people through those ripples. So I'm grateful to you for the opportunity to potentially put some positive influence out there.
Oh, look, I love dancing with you, right? We dance well. We sit and we like, and it's funny because Lisa often, I'll be talking to Lisa and I've got a lot of things going on, and she can see that I've got so much going on, and I get through things pretty quickly because I've got other things to get done. When we do this, when we make the time to sit down, we're present. I'm present. You're present, and we get to enjoy that. And I mean, if anybody's watching, I'd love to hear how they feel after listening to this conversation. Is there a positive thing for you that you've enjoyed that you're going to, go into your next conversation with? Because if it is, mission accomplished, Lisa. Mission accomplished.
It's just
Lisa is a bullshit chainsaw, and that's why I love her. That's one Scotty Mac.
I'm a bullshit what now? Chainsaw. Oh yeah, I got no time for that stuff. Yeah. I've never been called that before. I really like it. I'm going to get
How good's that?
I'm going to get a t-shirt made.
You got to take that.
He's such a wordsmith, Scotty Mac.
Oh, here we go. Right, and this is what I do with the computer. Hang on a sec.
And I love you too.
I've just done this, and I don't know. I got a new computer, and it does things that I'm not. I love it. I can't even see what's going on.
Talk amongst myself.
No, it's all good. Well, we're almost there. I don't even know where I'm going to find the button now.
That made me laugh yesterday. When Shorty hit the button.
That's funny, isn't it?
It was funny.
All right, there we go. Well, I'm going to ask you. Scotty's patented it. I love it. I'm going to ask you, Lisa, because I can't hit. I don't know how to. This is.
What are we doing now?
So I got to learn how to use this computer properly. I love it. Anyway,
what am I doing?
So I'm going to throw it out there that we have another crack 2 weeks time. You have another crack 2 weeks time because there's something that I've just heard that I really want to investigate, because controlling your thoughts, right?
Right. Yeah, I like to throw a little spanner right at the end there.
Well, but look, people go, what do you mean I can control my thoughts? Right? And that's something for me that let's investigate.
Yeah, and emotions. Just, while I'm throwing out crazy ideas. You can be in charge of your emotions too, rather than riding them like a nightmare roller coaster situation.
I love it. So we're going to do that. We're going to
hold on for dear life. Sure, we can do that.
Time we'll rock up again and we'll talk about controlling your thoughts and emotions, because I think that's a really powerful conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to keep me on task, because otherwise I'm like,
oh, good luck keeping me on task.
Do you know what I love? I think, like I was saying before, like I just have this trust. And someone, last time we jumped on a fortnight ago, someone apologized for taking the conversation a particular direction. I absolutely have complete faith that whatever we talk about, whatever is discussed, whatever comes out of our beautiful mouths is what is meant to come out, and is what is meant to be discussed, and is what somebody needs to hear. And I just fully trust that. So as much as it sometimes, looks like our conversation does this, I truly trust that it is what it's meant to be.
Well, we do dance with the conversation, but I think that's the beauty of what is. Like I get on here with Shorty, we do very much the same, right? We have a couple of things we want to tick off, but we'll investigate the conversation as we go. And I think that's a really important thing because life throws things at you don't see. So how do you investigate them? Well, you investigate them with an open heart and honesty. You can ask questions that are difficult to ask if you come into it with an open heart and honesty. And I think that's the thing for me.
I love it. Yes, my mantra is curiosity and compassion.
100% same.
Yeah,
Like a living curiosity, right? Because curiosity creates my facial expression. Anyway, I could go on about that for ages, and I'm not going to do that because people are going to look at it and go, hey, I'm going to love this, right? Scotty had, thank God Scotty's put up, oh, thank God he's gone. And then he's come back with, I love you too. And I'll tell you why, because you truly love, you truly care, and you both see the beauty in others, even us broken ones. So I've got something to say to that, Scotty. I love you. And I just want you to know that it's really important for you to know that the only reason that we can see the light is because we've been broken too. Yeah. That gives us the opportunity to be able to see the best in others, you know, and I love that. But I love you, and have a great trip. So,
and the cracks is where the light gets in, right?
100% Kintsugi art, right? So, yeah. All right. Well, I am going to find the button.
I'll see you in a fortnight.
Yeah, see you in a fortnight. Hey, if you enjoyed it, let us know.
All right, drop stuff in the comments. We'll revisit the comments, questions, queries, conundrums, accusations. I'll take anything.
I guess topics. Feel free to give us a topic. I mean, like, we're happy to be challenged. Yeah.
And let us know. There was a comment about sort of kind of, I don't know, doing this in a more present space, whether
it's that was awesome. Yeah.
So I'm very much open to some sort of open Q&A, town hall, ask us questions in like a real room where we could all be actually physically in a room together, perhaps. So if that's something that you're curious about, you're interested in, you'd show up for, you'd sling us a couple of bucks for, maybe, feel free to drop in the comments that you're interested. And Scott is the master of making shit happen. So he will make it happen if that's what you want as a community. We'll turn up, we'll be there. We'll, and you can ask us your questions and we can investigate those lines of conversation with you directly. So, it's all in that spirit of true connection, which we're both really passionate about. So if that's a thing that you're like, that'd be cool, I would go to that, let us know and we'll turn it into a thing. We'll make it reality.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for that. And I think we might discuss that further because I want to find a way where we can do that directly for Frankston, because we're both Frankston people now. And I think it's something we can really embrace together, Lisa, because I love what we do.
And it'll be fun. I'll be silly at you in person.
Hey, don't and you'll see how much of a dag I really am. So that'd be even better. I love it. All right, well, on that note, thanks to anybody listening. And Lisa, thank you so much for being here again.
A pleasure.
I love the conversations we have and the dances we have with it. So on that note, take care. Anything else you want to close on, Lisa? Or
no, love you. Love you all. Right. You're amazing.
Okay, now I'm going to find that button. Now this is where it gets tricky for me, because especially now that I've actually lost the screen. It's back. So all I had to do was laugh and it came back.
I told you, laughter is the key to everything.
That's ridiculous.
Bye.
Oh, see ya.